patriotic, and it has changed my life. I'm a fan of his ever since. I love this collection. Of his most legendary supermodels and more. The four queens of the runway. Fashion, New York Fashion Week is right around the corner. Librarian tonight, and that's because I came to read a bitch. Jaja's Atelier, bitch. My baby, dicking me down, driving me crazy. Kissing you is all that. Listen. How y'all doing today? It's Saturday night. I am back with a brand new episode of Jaja's Atelier, darling. Honey, listen. I gotta send a huge shout out to Meg Thee Stallion. Listen, we have been begging her to drop that Total Kissing You sample song that's been all over social media, TikTok. Bouncing, bibbidi, bouncing, bibbidi, bouncing, bibbidi, bouncing. Kissing you is. Listen, I love that fucking song. And the video is super fucking sexy. I just saw it today, and it really wanted me to, really had me really in my vixen, in my vixen energy, bitch, because that's what Meg gives. She looks absolutely beautiful in the video. She is facing criticism. Now, listen. The song did fall a little flat. We're not used to her rapping about a man that she loves in that way. And yeah, was the video really overtly sexual? My tits. I haven't worn this bra in a long time. And my titties, honey, these titties. Anyway, but I mean, it was a cute, fun song. I don't know if it's like the lead single for an upcoming album. She didn't say that, but it was a cute song. Girl, y'all are so judgy-wudgy. Anyway, how y'all doing? In the words of our media mother, Wendy Williams, honey. I'm back. I'm on time. We shouted out Meg, right? Okay, so next I have to shout out, and I want to take a serious turn now. After 25 years as the first principal ballerina, Misty Copeland took her final bow earlier this week. She walked the carpet ahead of the show wearing this gorgeous, fresh off the runway Carolina Herrera gown, honey. She was, celebrated with superstars, the likes of Felicia Rashad, Debbie Allen, two other black icons. We also saw Oprah Winfrey and Gail. Listen, I'm coming in hot today, y'all. And who else did we see? Who else was there? Also, oh honey, the woman that stole the show, though, on the red carpet of the American Ballet Theater, honey, was none other than supermodel Iman, honey, in this stunning fucking baby blue and red gown. She has not aged since she hit the runway. She looks fucking amazing. If you needed more proof that black don't crack, look at Iman here. And listen, say what you want. Oh, but she's a celebrity and she might have had fillers. Honey, she still got the same face she had back in 88, 78, 76. She still has the same exact face. Honey, money and good genes. Listen, the combination of money and good genes is a motherfucker. You hear me? I'm an exhibit. Or an example. Excuse me. I'm a little high. Listen, this woman, Misty Copeland, I'm not familiar with the ballerina world, but the announcement of her retirement, I've always known who she was, but ballet ain't really my thing. I would love to go to, an official American Ballet Institute show. Oftentimes you think something is not your thing because you haven't experienced it, but I would love to go to an official ballet like that. But the importance of her presence is beyond. And these are legendary history making black artists who don't always get mainstream shine in this way. And, I loved the amount of black women and black men that showed up for her from across the country. It was a whole bunch of people there. She has been doing this for 25 years. She's seen on stage with Debbie Allen. You know, Debbie Allen was also, was a famed photographer and director. Felicia Rashad, the name speaks for itself. She had her son and her husband, who is very handsome, by the way, come up on stage with her. So thank you for being a door opener for so many young black ballerinas coming up behind you and really just putting ballet on the map for black people, because it's not something, ballet and dance in that way, it's not something that's very mainstream in our community. So huge congratulations on such a beautiful and historic career. And you're gorgeous and you're an icon, honey. Anyway, also, I might have to light a cigarette for this, getting back to me and my life. So you guys know, I'm about to tell y'all a little bit of my business here. So you guys know I've been celibate since my birthday in May, which is the last time I really, really got cracked, as the kids say. And the older I get and the more, you try to date. Like, I'm 35. I'm going to be 36 in a few months. Like, dating, I don't travel much as I used to. I don't go out as much as I used to because of social anxiety, which is, I never thought it was a thing until it happened to me. But every now and then I'll get a DM or a text from, one of my old pieces of trade, honey. So it started on Monday, and he was relentless. Now, I believe I talked about this young piece of trade before. He was the one that wanted me to climb his back, and I obliged, just because it was a power thing. I'm not really a top end type of girl, but the situation called for it. He needed to be put in his place. And so ever since then, he's been hitting me up and hitting me up and hitting me up. And he's a down low piece of trade. You know what I mean? And I'm just not into that. Dealing with down low men, it's really emotionally exhausting. They are very manipulative. And the one thing that I think we don't talk about enough is I always forget this word, but it's like the audacity and the feeling like you have one up on somebody because they're trans and you could just demand whatever you want from trans women. I answered the phone because I don't even have his number saved. I didn't even remember. He wasn't even at the back of my mind, nor the front, nor the side. And so I answered the phone and he's like, "So what's up? When am I gonna see you?" And I'm like, who is this? So he's sending me pictures and I'm like, well, I've been celibate for quite a while. And listen, every now and then the Tunchi gets a little hungry, okay? And, even though he's down low trade, it is, it's a good time, So my flesh started speaking and thinking for me before, my brain could really process what the fuck was going on. So I'm like, well, I might be busy this day, but we might be able to do this day, setting up the moves, setting up the motion. So he said something to me that really just snapped me back to life. And he goes, "Well, I ain't got all day to be waiting on you, and I need what I need when I need it, And I said to him, well, it's not always about you. I said, I'm doing you a favor. Honey, you should be so lucky. I mean, look at me. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, I know what your ex and your baby mama look like. Don't do that." And so he was like, "Well, if it's like that, we could just cut ties." And I was like, wait a minute. It ain't no ties here, buddy. We're just having a good time. I've only met you maybe like 6 times. It's not that deep for me. And then he kind of tries to like flip the script like I'm the one pressed. No, boo-boo. No, boo-boo. And it's like because you are a straight man, you think that you have some kind of, like, you're doing me a favor. Like, and a lot of these men, a lot of the trade when they're dealing with trans women, they come off like that. And it's like, my nigga, like, are you kidding me? And then, I could never, I hear a lot of trans women talk about, how they, got into sex work and all of that. And that was never my story. And I just never, that just never was at the forefront of my mind to sell the Tunchi. You know what I mean? But now I get why they do it. It's like, well, I'm not getting nothing else. Might as well get a little cash, because contrary to popular belief, masturbation is a better nut for a lot of people than actual intercourse with another person. I am one of those people. If I'm really gonna, you have to dush, you have to shave, you have to make sure your house is pretty and clean, or you have to, make sure the nigga can get a hotel room or whatever. Like, it's too much prep for me. You know what I mean? All that to end up with my wig slid back, my stomach sore, my hips hurt, all for a nut. I mean, I could do it myself. And I say all this to say, to my young trans girls out there, because I know, I have a couple of nieces that watch. They don't live in the same state as me, but they've DM'd me and they're like, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? I want to take this time out to tell you, to my young dolls out there, if that man doesn't want to take you out, if that man is verbally aggressive with you, before or after the first couple meetups, if that man, is acting as if him having intercourse with you or even spending time with you is doing you a favor, if you feel any hint of that in your gut, leave it be. Leave it be, take you a cold shower, or get on Pornhub, honey. Because, honey, can't nobody fuck you better than yourself. I'm gonna just let you know now. It's a few pieces of trade that may come dangerously close, but honey, you know what switch to flip. It ain't worth it. And if you do go forward with it, it will emotionally drain you. It's too taxing. I even talked to some of my female girlfriends, and they're like, girl, I would rather just be single. Like, I don't want to deal. Like, I saw one girl on Instagram, she was like, women are tired of having sex. It's too much mind games, it's too much manipulation, and I think a lot of us are sexed out. Like, we see it on social media, the dick twerking and the ass and the coochie bouncing up and down, and everybody talking about coochie, ass, dick, pussy. I can make you come. $1 will make my pussy holler. We are, honey, I am sexed out. I'm sexed out. I'm linked up out. You know, and I'm thankful that I did most of my whoring. Most of my whoring stage was during, my butch queen era, before I was even trans. So by the time I came to, you know, transitioning, I was like, girl, please. I wasn't even studying y'all before I looked like this. And now that I look like this, you think that I'm going, girl, please. Honey, so I just wanted to send that message because, it's becoming increasingly dangerous dealing with DL men, especially under this government, under this regime, under this presidency, I'm all tongue tied. What am I trying to say? Under this administration, a DL man could kill you, tell the people he didn't know, and he will get away with it. If you feel any ways uncertain about any man that's trying to talk to you as a trans woman, don't even give an explanation. Just block and keep it moving. And that goes for the women too. That goes for the females too. If my cisgender women, I know y'all don't like when I say that, but it's a scientific term. It means real woman. If my cisgender girlfriends feel like any kind of, just leave them alone. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because, honey, when I tell you I hung up that phone, that motherfucker called me back at least another 6 times. Like, damn. And he's really, really attractive. Like, you know, he could walk down the street and get some coochie if he wanted to, but coochie ain't always what they want. And, you know, trans girls like me, the dogs like me around here in the area I live are few and far between, honey. So, he's shit out of luck. Think of me when you grinding up on that pillow. Anyway, so the biggest piece of news of the week. Let's get into Grace Wales Bronner, the self-made Jamaican British designer, artist, photographer, just an absolute visionary. Her talent goes so far beyond fashion. She is she tells these stories in a way that kind of shifts culture. She's deeply rooted in her Black heritage, in her Caribbean heritage. She's all about just highlighting and glamorizing all the cultures that the media, mainstream media, kind of pushes to the back. She has now made history, as it has been announced last week that she will be taking over Hermes and becoming the creative director for their men's division. Everybody, all my Black, and not just Black, but everybody, all of my fashion friends online and those that I know in real life, we were all like, oh my God, this is finna be some shit. We were so excited. And I wrote, and I gave a piece of my perspective, and I did say the rest of the show, but just to refresh your memory, this is what I wrote. History has been made as self-made Jamaican British designer Grace Wales Bronner becomes the first Black woman to head a luxury European legacy fashion house. Hermes made the announcement yesterday shortly after Veronique Nishian stepped down from her role after an historic 37-year run, which is nothing to sneeze at. I think the only one that has done that, Donatella Versace, and perhaps Musia Prada as well. I don't know the full history of Musia Prada's career, but I think she's been, hell, it's her family brand, so I think she's been there pretty much the whole time as well. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Bronner, who has made quite the name for herself over the years, is much more than a fashion powerhouse, however, pushing racial and gender barriers through several forms of artistry, which is the kind of diversity many fashion and art lovers have been craving in the fashion mainstream for a long time. Now, here's where it gets sticky, because the gears in my mind get to running, honey. But we've seen positive steps forward like this before, most notably in the recent election. The big question, however, will Hermes let our girl cook? Or much like the case of our beloved Kamala Harris, will they put barriers around her creativity? Now, a couple people were like, oh, you're being negative. Oh, we don't know what they're going to do yet. But listen, again, like I said, we've seen positive steps forward like this before. And then the establishment that kind of, takes those steps forward behind the scenes, they're really like, got you in one of them jackets that make you hug yourself. You know what I mean? Like, no, don't say that. Don't say this. And I have Kamala Harris's new book on audio, and I've been listening to it. I'm almost done. I'm on the second to last chapter, I believe. And some of the things that she talks about in her book really makes me think about Grace Wales Bronner. She doesn't need this. Her brand, she's had her own brand since 2014. She does not need this. She has won countless awards, including Menswear Designer of the Year, I believe, for either the British Fashion Awards or the CFDA. I know she has both. So technically, she doesn't really need this. Hermes needs this more than she needs them. which makes this even more like, hmm. And listen, Hermes ain't no fool. They know this. They know this. They know this. You know. So, and Grace Wells Bronner, we say this because she is a black woman, but I could say this about Sarah Burton at Givenchy. We could say this about Louis Trotter at Bottega Veneta, which I think they're really letting her cook over there. But it's just when these major mainstream entities take these steps forward, we don't want to hear 10 years down the line that she was stifled and mistreated. And I think when any of our black creatives step over into working for a major mainstream entity like that, I think it is our duty as their fans and their admirers to put the word out like, hey, we need her protected at all costs. You know what I'm saying? Let her cook. Her design aesthetic is far beyond anything we've seen at Hermes in the past, I don't know how long. Now, she did say a couple years ago, that it's always been a dream of hers to work at Hermes. She focuses on precision and superb tailoring, and which is one of the fundamental principles of Hermes. So, with all the politics aside, I think this is, again, not only great for Hermes, but it's also a great step forward in equality when it comes to not only women in these roles in fashion, but also people of color in these roles in fashion. So, again, huge congratulations to Grace Wells Bronner. And listen, if this ever makes it to you, I'm not trying to put no damper on your shine. But what I am trying to do is make sure that we get the full extent of your creativity within the Hermes brands. Because I think, again, if Hermes really lets her cook, listen, we are the blueprint. We set the trends. It would behoove of Hermes to let her cook. I also think it was a big fuck you to LVMH, by the way, but, I won't go there right now. I heard somebody say that, and they had an article to back it up, and I was like, I never thought about it like that. Those of you that know, if you know, you know. I won't go all the way into it. But anyway, again, congratulations to Grace Wells Bronner. We are so proud of you. We are going to support you. Even those of us that can't afford anything that you might be selling over there at Hermes, we will support you and talk about you and big you up as much as possible, because this is what so many of us have been wanting to see for the last, I don't know how many years. So give Grace Wells Bronner a round of applause, honestly. So listen, keeping things in London. British Vogue has announced its November cover star, an Oscar-winning actress, Gwyneth Paltrow. So y'all know I'm going to be transparent, and I'm going to tell y'all some more of my business, more of my personal business. The more I've learned, the older I've gotten, and the more aware I've become, you really start seeing shit for what it is. Um, I want to be careful when I say this. You really start seeing shit for what it is, including things that you love, things that you're interested in, passions that you have. And it could be really depressing. Especially, I talk about this all the time within fashion right now. There is this tone deaf, capitalistic aloofness that's going on. Like, we're just going on with our daily lives, and, what's happening over here is sad, what's happening over there is sad, but honey, we're on the cover of Vogue, and, honey, we have to go to the premiere, and honey, and, it can be depressing, especially for me. But what I, over the last couple of months, have had to do is sit and talk to myself and say, listen, fashion is what you love. The business of fashion is where you want to go. So you really have to find a way to create your own lane while staying cognizant of what else is going on in the world so that you don't appear tone deaf, but you also have to be just tone deaf enough to be able to put up with the bullshit enough to be able to get through the door. And that's the thought that came to me when I saw this cover, because it was like, and British Vogue usually gets it right. I've never, and listen, it's not because she's white. It's because of who she is and what she represents. Y'all know I am not the biggest fan of Gwyneth Paltrow. Y'all know this about me already. I am not the biggest fan of Gwyneth Paltrow. I find her to be, again, completely tone deaf. I understand that she might donate millions of dollars to charities, but she doesn't get on the front line and speak out. And a lot of them don't. And a lot of them won't. You know what I mean? But I found this spread to be extremely, again, tone deaf. And it's tone deaf to the point where it's like, do you want to get cussed the fuck out? It's like, do you want the backlash? Um, Here she is on the cover. She's wearing a dress by Gucci. I'm assuming this is the new Gucci by Demna. She was all over that. She is photographed by Venetia L. Scott and styled by Stella Greenspan. Um, I'm not gonna say who did her hair because I really, really love that hairstylist, and I thought they really kind of chopped and screwed and butchered her hair. So I'm not gonna say who did her hair. Um, Here's some of the pictures. I mean, it's cute. Now, I did like this one. I did like this one. I absolutely did like this one. I thought it was giving very much Dynasty. It was very kitschy cute. I did like this particular photo. Her with the pink jumpsuit standing in front of the grill. Honey, that face card, honey. I never really thought that she was the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. You know, but these pictures just didn't do her any justice. I thought the makeup was awful. For her face, I thought the makeup was awful. She definitely could have used a little more va-va-voom. But out of all the pictures, the one that disturbed me the most has to be this one right here. Now, y'all tell me. Y'all tell me if this is not a slap in the face. There are people going hungry, Gwyneth. There are people, come November the 1st, which is right around the corner, there are people that aren't going to have any food. There are already people that aren't getting paid because of the government shutdown. And I know these are shot way ahead of time, but don't you think we could have took this shot out? And this is my personal opinion. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. But I feel like the people that are suffering are the people that are buying your magazines and reading them. The people that are paying for your magazines are, a lot of those people are the very same ones being affected by the shutdown. And yes, this is British Vogue, but there are there are hundreds of American people who get British Vogue in the United States and don't think that just because stuff is going over here on in the United States, that ain't shit going on over there in Britain. Honey, prices is high wherever you go in the world. Inflation is everywhere. And so I went straight to the comments. Now here's, the behind the scenes video of the shoot. And a lot of people were talking about, now here's where I'm going to come to Miss Paltrow's defense. A lot of people were talking about, we can, thank God for retouching. You goddamn right, thank God for retouching. We all use a little cap cut. We all use a little skin tint, a little filter. I don't like when people judge people because they use filters and stuff like that. Because I love a good filter and a good blur that pimple out. Who doesn't? She's never been the most beautiful woman in the world. Hey Google, how old is Gwyneth Paltrow?
53 years old.
Ooh, that's a hard 53, honey. It is a hard 53, but it's black that doesn't crack, okay? Because Iman looks at least 20 years younger than Gwyneth Paltrow. And she's actually 20 or 30 years older than Gwyneth Paltrow. And it's like, she has this new movie out, and it's like, yeah, great, but it's the tone deafness of it for me. It's the mediocrity of it for me. It's so mediocre, and Vogue, it's like, I cannot wait till E72 comes out and we really, the issues steady start rolling and we see, optimum supreme glamour on all different types of people. And that's, for those of you who didn't know, E72, it is former British Vogue editor-in-chief Edward Enninful's new publication that is black owned, honey. We're doing everything black over here now, darling. Yeah, I think so many things that we grew up on that we love that are just kind of nosediving. Vogue will forever be Vogue, but I think Vogue has had its time. I think there's so many other publications that people are going to, like Dazed Fashion is a huge one. The Cut, is really shaking the shit up. The Cut is really, listen. Black Fashion Fair is on the come up. They have all these exhibits and, small, I don't want to say small, but, confined more, I don't want to say small, but small, publications that come out every so often, which I love. I think we just need to look elsewhere for our inspiration. Vogue, it's never been the end all be all, but it's the one fashion publication that gets the most press. And I think we need to start giving press elsewhere. I said it. Sorry. All right, what do we have next? Okay, I'm glad I already have my cigarette lit. Let's talk about black church shenanigans for a minute. So, two videos were released this week. One by Pastor Marvin Winans, who is the brother of, the famous Winans, BB Winans, CC Winans. I believe he was married to Vicky Winans. I believe this is the father of Mario Winans. Mario Winans sang that song, "Someone Who Truly Understands How This Is What I Need." He was signed to Bad Boy Records, back in the early 2000s, back when I was still a boy. So they were doing the offering and he was having the people come up, and I want you guys to take a look at this. They caught it all on video. Take a look at this.
I, Roberta McCoy, giving faith and stand in unity with the vision of Perfecting Church of sowing this seed of $1,000 plus $235 and receiving the blessings to come to all that participated.
Now that's only $1,200.
Yes.
Y'all not listening to what I'm saying. If you have 1,000 plus 1,000.
Well, I'm going to work on the other 800.
Well, that ain't what I asked you to do.
That ain't what I asked you to do. I have talked about stories like this on the show many a times. We had the infamous Marvin Sapp incident, close the doors. Close the doors. We've seen Juanita Bynum panhandling like a motherfucker at the altar. Now Marvin Winans is doing the same thing. A lot of y'all are giving black churches a bad name. And there are so many black churches who don't get the same kind of money that you get, who don't get the same kind of camera time in the media that you get, whose pastor's name don't carry the same weight as some of you TV pastors, who do 1,000 times more for the community than y'all do. And you sit up on TV in your church, and you mean to tell me that this woman came up here with her grandson to give money to, in front of God and the congregation, and this is how you talk to her? Now, in recent days, Fred Hammond, who is one of my parents' favorite gospel singers, I love him too, has came out and stuck up for the pastor. We've seen, I believe it was Marvin Sapp that was out there on the golf course saying, we don't say nothing when the rappers asking for money, when the rappers is bragging about money. Well, that's the thing, motherfucker. You're not a rapper. You're a pastor. Your morality, your moral compass should not be compared to a Lil Boosie or a Moneybag Yo or a Drake. These niggas talk about fucking, sucking, ducking, and gangbanging and niggas and shit. You talking about the Spirit of the Lord. There's no comparison there. And I mean, if you're going to compare yourself to the Ghana of morality, no offense to the rappers, I mean, how much lower can you go? This is some grade A pulpit pimping. And I'm tired of seeing it. I said it the last episode. Us as black people have to change the way we talk about money. Even the way you have them coming up, oh, I only said the people that donating, that is giving 2,000 need to be up here. It's almost giving, you're not enough, sit the fuck down, you're not important. When God only asks you to be the best that he knows you can be. God does not operate in classism. God does not operate in elitism. And I don't give a fuck how you slice it. I don't give a fuck if we go from the beginning of the motherfucking sermon and the church service till this point, to the end. I don't give a fuck how you slice it. It's fucked up. And you're taking advantage of people who don't have that kind of money. You are expecting this type of money out of regular, everyday, hardworking African Americans. And it needs to be checked. Because the same way we sit up here and we say, oh, the MAGA people, they wrap everything in Christianity. A lot of you black people do too. From the way you treat black women in the church, from the way you treat black girls in the church. Oh, and don't get me started on the homosexuals that decided that this Sunday they want a little bit of restoration and, a little Jesus to pick them up for the week up ahead. How you treat them. Let's not get started on that. Marvin Winans, you should be ashamed of your goddamn self. I don't give a fuck how you slice it. This woman gave you $1,200 and change. And she even said to him, oh, I'll work on the extra $800. And instead of just being like, oh, it's okay, sister, this is enough. You've done, you've gone beyond what, if you got to work on the extra $800, that you're not. Bitch, you're not Georgia Power. You are not Dominion. This bitch don't owe you a light bill. Get the fuck over yourself. Your job as a pastor is to give people spiritual relief. It's to give people hope. But instead of giving, a lot of you black pastors, you take and you take and you take and you line your goddamn pockets, and a lot of you ain't no better than the goddamn Dingleberry Donald up there at the White House and covering everything in 24 karat crap and using taxpayers' money to do it. You got these people believing that if they want a blessing, they got to give you their whole motherfucking check. And that's not how God works. That's not how Jesus works. I can tell a lot of you didn't read your motherfucking Bible because I saw a lot of comments. Well, it's for the Lord. Why did Jesus go into the temple and turn over the table when they were in there selling fish plates? Here's another video of prophetess Juanita Bynum.
Like you have never seen. Like you have never seen. $1,066 is nothing. You can get money back. Yes, Lord. He just said 5 more people are sitting here deciding, but you're not deciding about money, you're deciding about your future. You're not deciding about money, you're deciding about your future. He said, come now. This isn't about money, this is about your future.
It's literally about money.
This is about the restoration of your faith. He said, God wants some people to pay some bills for him. He said, everywhere you go.
God told you to tell them people that he wanted them to do what now? You guys would be fucking kidding me. God didn't tell you that, bitch. God didn't tell you that. Your greed told you that. How the fuck can you sell restoration for $1,066? When people say, we heard people all our life say money is the root of all evil. And I used to hear that all the time coming up and be like, yeah, okay. But now the older I get, again, the older you get, the more you start to see the bullshit for what it is. And there are people in my life very close to me, I'm not going to name their names, that write big checks to churches. And I ask, why? Because the pastor said the Lord put it on my heart. If the Lord is going to put something on your heart, you don't need the pastor to tell you. And it's almost like a competition within the church. The Lord says, come as you are, but you're putting on a $5,000 suit just to go to church. You know, we have to remember, you know, in a lot of cases, Christianity was used against us to control us. And I always say, it's funny how the oppressed almost always becomes the oppressor. This is shameful. It should be investigated. Do you know how many elderly people give their last to these churches and struggle for the rest of the week? And some of these pastors, you know, Juanita Bottom ain't showing up for no less than $5,000, allegedly. How come the Lord never puts it on her heart to go somewhere and speak for free? Again, to my black people, when we go to church, I want you to know that if you don't have it to give, if all you can give is $1, give $1 and hold your head high that you gave that $1. If God is really putting it on your heart to give $200, you give that $200. Don't worry about what the pastors say. And once you put your offering in, you let them roll that motherfucking plate around 16 times in front of your face if you want to. If you cannot afford to give it, don't give it. And don't feel no ways tired about it. Because that's not what restoration, that's not what Jesus was about. Again, the running theme of the Bible is treat your neighbor as yourself. Clothe the naked. Feed the hungry. You mean to tell me you sit up in church hungry, all you got is beans in your refrigerator, and you giving the church $1,000 goddamn dollars? The Lord said a lot of things, but he never told you to be no goddamn fool. He loves you regardless of how you look. He loves you regardless of your sexual orientation. He loves you regardless of what you have put on your gender marker. He loves you regardless of how many kids you done had out of wedlock. None of that is anything for us to judge, because can't nobody walking this earth send you to hell. You do the best you can, and you pray, and you move through this world in positivity and kindness. Don't fall for this bullshit. And call it out when you see it. Now, oh, y'all getting almost an hour today. My titty itching. And I'm hungry. Do y'all like my wig, by the way? Listen, I wore this wig on the New York Fashion Week wrap-up. Okay, and it was curly at the time. And honey, it was just a mess. So I straightened it. I put some, oh, my nail got stuck. I put some rollers in it, some hairspray, and zhuzhed it up, and I'm giving you 90s bedhead realness, honey. And this is a 360 lace, so I could kind of part it any which way. I love it. It's gorgeous. Anyway, before I go, I posted this about, Stephen A. Smith earlier this week. Take a look. So it's late, and I'm in the glam room just chilling, smoking my reefer, you know how I do, and scrolling on Instagram, and another bullshit ass clip of that Holland Tunnel hairline, bean curve face, pickle nose, Sherman Hemsley looking motherfucker, Stephen A. Smith, came across it. And you know what song I think about every time I see that motherfucker? $1 million pussy, $1 million pussy. That's the song that comes to my head when I see that motherfucker. Because I want to know, Steve, how much is them white folks paying you for that nappy dugout? Because at this point, I don't even think, I wholeheartedly don't believe you believe a word that's coming out of your mouth when you sit up on that TV. And you are on this platform using it for bigoted, fascist, KKK propaganda, and you speaking to a whole slew of young, impressionable black men. You ought to be ashamed of your goddamn self. You sit up there and you disrespect any black woman you put your mouth on. You disrespect because that's a black woman you could never have. And LeBron, because he got the career you could never have. I'm gonna tell you something, Stephen A. Smith, and I'm gonna make sure I tag you in this motherfucker. I know you don't know me, and you probably don't like my kind, but the gag is I don't like yours either. But I'm gonna warn you, and I ain't wishing no bad on you. But I'm gonna tell you something. You better bask in $1 million checks, boo. Cause you better fly straight with these folks. Cause I'm gonna tell you, the minute you step out of line with these white folk, oh baby, they got an underage girl, they got RICO charges, they got something that's gonna fuck you right up your ass, right up that $1 million. Don't. And God forbid it do happen, Stephen A. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't come back over here. Don't come calling on your people. When them folks got you hemped up on some trumped up RICO charges. I posted that, and I think it was like the next day that, well, looky, who decides to come back on the air and apologize? None other.
Take a moment because I saw something disturbing in regards to President Donald Trump and how he came at Representative Jasmine Crockett. And I wanted to take this opportunity to attack this issue as it pertained to me and Jasmine Crockett, because I personally have had an issue with how things have been misconstrued and misinterpreted. But at the end of the day, I have to own it. And that's what I'm going to do today. And so when somebody says to me, Stephen, rather than point to her and her verbiage and her language and how she talked about the president, what about how he talks? I have no problem with that. I can understand that. And if that is the reason that everybody is in an uproar, that is fine. And I have no problem apologizing to that to my sister because, damn it, I want her to know I don't feel that way about her. Just like I didn't feel that way about Kamala Harris. Just like I don't feel that way about the marvelous, the wonderful, the incomparable, the greatest first lady ever, and Michelle Obama, in my estimation, or anybody else. But what we're going to do on this show is understand who the hell I am and how it's going to be as long as I'm doing this show.
Here's the thing, Stephen A. Smith. We know who you are. And like I said in the video that I posted about you earlier this week, we don't believe that you believe anything coming out of your mouth. But the fact is, you said it. And it's more than what you say about black women on your platform. It's also the fact that you're always playing hopscotch with the Trump administration. And for me, and a lot of other black folks out there, it's unforgivable. You picked your side, you collected and cashed your checks. Now stay there. Now, when I went to go tag Mr. Stephen A. Smut in the video, I was blocked. I've never met Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith ain't never met me. I don't know what in the hell could possibly have possessed him to pick my profile out of the hundreds of millions and billions of profiles on Instagram and block me. But in the beginning of his video, he said he saw something disturbing. Now, I'm not saying that I'm the only video that he saw, but I definitely think he might have saw Zsa coming for his neck, because it's not the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth, ninth, or 10th time that I have, backed Mr. Stephen A. into a corner verbally over his Uncle Tom antics. And mysteriously, when I went to leave a comment under this apology video, and something told me, tag him in this, I wasn't blocked anymore. What you saw was disturbing. The comments and the backlashes you saw was disturbing. No, what's disturbing is watching a full-grown black man who comes from an educational background of an HSBCU, who has amassed a huge fan base of black people, sit up and play "Me and You Will Never Part" with Donald Dingleberry as he wreaks havoc on your people, whether it be through Truth Social, whether it be through the media, whether it be through the policies that he is passing. That's what's disturbing to us, Stephen A. Smith. You are a coward. And I'm sorry, you can brag about that $100 million signing bonus, but my pussy is not for sale. Yours, on the other hand, is. And it's painfully obvious. And let's be clear. The only reason that you got up and took your tap shoes off for a couple of minutes to apologize is because those same white people that are paying you to say this fuck shit about your own people and sell your people up the river are the same people who gain a lot of viewership because your black face is the representation. And now that they have turned on you because your disrespect towards black women is relentless, their viewership has gone down a little bit. So they needed you to put your Negro hat back on just for a second to appease the rest of the niggers. We're not falling for this, Stephen A. We're not falling for this. You wanted to pick the side of white. You keep your black ass over there and see how long you can stay over there. Clarence Thomas has been tap dancing since I've been a baby, and I'm 35. So see how long you can stay over there. Anyway, that is today's show. I gave y'all a whole hour today. Whew. I love you guys. I will see you in a few days. Ciao. Oh, and by the way, stop watching Stephen A. Smith. Bye.